Welcome to a bonus episode, a very special bonus episode of the Devil's Rest Book Club. I am, as always, your tired, withered host, fresh from the Gala himself, Cameron, and with me, as always, is my co-host, sometimes unnamed, but always number one in my heart, Drew. Drew, how you doing?
Doing great. Today we're going to be just kind of walking through our experience with the Gala. That's jacked up. That's really,
we can redo it if you want.
No, it's good. It's good. For those that don't know what happened, Christopher Ruocchio, we got to meet him at the Gala recently. We shook hands with him. We were describing to him the kind of podcast we're doing, and he was able to recall Cameron's name and not my name or the name of the podcast on his release day stream. So it's very funny, Cam.
Hey, the shout out. Gotta appreciate the shout out.
He remembered one of us, which is fantastic. I left a comment and he gave me a thumbs up and said,
he remembered you.
Yeah, he remembered
that
I
didn't
existed.
remember your name.
That's correct. That's correct.
And we're going this week to the book signing. Are you planning on going to the book signing?
I think my wife is going to be busy, so I may be on baby duty, but we'll see.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll
drop in.
Yeah. My brother
I will remain faceless. I will remain faceless.
You know, when he picks you out in the YouTube chat, whenever he does a live chat going forward, you'll know, and mentions the podcast, then you'll know he's listened.
But we will know that he's listened. Yeah.
I'll make a comment of it when I go and see him on Friday.
It's funny. It's good.
But this is going to be a very special episode. We're just going to talk about our experience at the Gala, not really any book-related content.
Yeah.
Talk about our trip, talk about all the things that we did, and our thoughts going forward. Figured it would make sense for us to just walk through it together. We got the opportunity to go to Raleigh for this Gala, and we flew out Friday morning. And Drew and I, this is the first time that we've gone on a trip together too, which is super, super fun.
Yep. First time. It was a good trip and was very quickly pretty cool. You know, we get through the airport. There's no issues at the airport, but we get on the plane and we're, immediately talking Sun Eater stuff. And in front of us, person turns around. Are you talking about Sun Eater? Are you going to the Gala? And turns out this person is a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And
Sherilyn from Books, Beverages, and Besties happened to sit right in front of us.
Yes. Got invited out to do some bowling. Now we're in the whole Discord thing. And it was just sort of a wonderful way to kick off the trip and just start the excitement. There was a lot of serendipitous book stuff going on throughout the entire trip, but that was what started. It was really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, that single, and I will say shout out to Sherilyn multiple times.
Yes.
During this video, had she not mentioned like that she was going to the Gala and got us connected with the Book Street Boys Discord and Talking Story Discord as well, and invited us into the community, we would not have had nearly as good of a trip as we did.
Yeah.
So we fly out to Raleigh, get to the hotel, do that thing, grab some barbecue. North Carolina barbecue is pretty good. It's not bad.
It's pretty good. I was more a fan of the ribs than the other stuff, but the ribs were great. I liked the barbecue sauce. It was good. Really good.
Yeah. So we were staying downtown, so we piddled around there for a little bit. We made a pilgrimage, and if you're ever in Raleigh, I recommend going out and supporting a local bookstore, the bookstore that Chris Ruocchio partners with, Quail Ridge Books. Super cool bookstore. Beautiful
bookstore. I actually am really impressed. I wish that we had a similar bookstore down here. The inside is really pretty. They had a really good science fiction fantasy section, good horror section and mystery section. And then I thought one of the cooler parts actually was they had a section in the store where there was bookshelves that were lined with various book clubs where you could walk up and buy a book that was going on with the book club, either in the area or I guess at the store and stuff. That was a really cool idea. I'd never seen a bookstore do that. There were staff picks all over the place, just random bookish nonsense all over. There's a kids section. It was a really cool local bookstore. It was special. I've been to some local bookstores before that didn't really have quite this similar thing. Oh, that place is it's no secret or mystery why they're doing well. It's an awesome spot. It's worth dropping by if people are a fan of books, for sure.
If you're ever in the Triangle area, it's definitely worth going there. And as we walk in, we see a woman behind a counter
Yeah.
wrapping Shadows Upon Time, signed copies of Shadows Upon Time in preparation for the release day, which as of time of recording was yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was the first time we got to see the physical book. And
Yep.
immediately I thought, holy crap, this is a huge book.
It's a really big book. It's door-stopping, like 900-page tome of a book.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's great.
And he cut
And
50,000 words or something like that from this
yeah,
book.
I heard that. It's pretty amazing that it ended up this long. I'm super pumped that it's this long because I don't want the series to end. So it's cool to have a long trip at the end. And we're walking around this bookstore and we find yet again more folks there for the gala. And we're, having conversations with them. They turn out are in the Discord, I guess, because they're like, oh yeah, one of our friends said that there were some people behind her on the plane. There was like, that is literally us. Like we just, that was us. So we run in there, just chat sci-fi a little bit. Some of the people have read different parts of this series and stuff, so we're trying to dodge spoilers in the middle of the conversation. I think one of the folks there had already read the advanced reader copy, so he read it in like a day or something, which is insane.
I don't know how you'd have the time to do that.
I don't understand. There's a 3.5 on the audiobook version or something like that. I don't know how you could possibly, but that was another serendipitous encounter that went quite well. It's just,
I will say the most memorable person we met there was Jose, who later we found out is a certain character that shows up in book 6's biggest fan. I'll leave that spoiler free, but shouted from the rafters at the gala how big of a fan he was of a certain character. And
fun. He's a funny guy.
He was funny, and he's cool. Everybody we met was unbelievably kind and personable. Like that was what struck me more than anything. In every social interaction we had, there was no pretension. There was no like anything. Everybody was super, super nice.
It was pretty amazing. I've never been to really conventions or something like that. I mean, trying to think if I've been at anything wild, or I guess I actually have. I've been to some, and sometimes the crowds are a little bit strange, and like there's like a really wide diversity of like how cool the people are. I was really shocked that throughout the whole trip, people were just really cool, really, really nice people.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very kind-hearted vibe in the whole community experiencing it. Those that were there will know what we're talking about, even more so when we started actually talking about the gala itself. But it was pretty amazing. I mean, it was like everyone was just excited and they're like, oh, I just get to talk about this series. So everyone was just talking about it the whole time. It was fantastic. It's on the plane and now in the bookstore. And it just continued throughout the whole trip. It's really cool. Yeah.
So then we went out bowling that evening. Before that, we had a happy hour and light dinner with a buddy of mine who had written an article about the Ruocchios, who then got shouted out twice in different portions of the gala. So Shelby Polk, shout out to her article in Indie Week on the gala. Go read it if you haven't read it. We'll link everything we talk about that's on the internet. We'll link in the description.
Yes.
To this.
Unbelievable that, you have a friend in the area who's also super book oriented and really involved in writing. And it was pretty picture perfect in terms of the first day. Everything was related to books, which is, we didn't really even construct the day that way. And it just ended up
we didn't do a lot of constructing, period. And it fell into place that way.
It was unbelievable. Great conversation there. Really interesting to hear about the interview and stuff. I'm curious to read the article itself. And wonderful, amazing, intelligent, well-read person.
Shelby's great.
It was really cool. And then from there, we actually went to the bowling. And man, I feel like I was not on my A game, if there is such an A game. That I have for bowling that night. A lot of book talks. I mean, there was a ton of people there. There was
a lot of people from the Book Street Boys Discord, Talking Story Discord, Red Company Discord. Like I think 11 people were bowling and 25 other people showed up and were hanging out and just talking.
It really felt like us book folks turned into the popular kids for a night. It was really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's there. Bowling, in between bowling, people are talking about books and music and movies, and it was super cool. And again, people were just super nice and very social. and really just a great crowd of people. I mean,
Mhm.
it would if someone was trying to generate a stereotype about what an event like this might look, they would be very, very wrong. Actually, it was really good collection of folks. It was awesome.
From the most wide variety of places and
Yeah,
backgrounds too, which was really cool. That
yeah,
I think it says something about the art, right? If he can bring so many different types of people together, um, that share a love for this series and want to hang out and talk about it,
yeah,
how good of a series it actually is.
yeah. I will say also, this is the point in the trip where I started to realize that you were conducting small scale research on which book was people's favorite. You started asking essentially every person what
Yep.
their favorite book in the series was to just collect data, even if it's anecdotal, about what the perception of the series was. Did you notice any themes over the course of the trip? Because this happened everywhere we went essentially at this point.
Yeah, all of it's anecdotal. I did not keep track of individual people and like had a
Right.
clicker or anything like that. So I'll just say that it's all
Yeah.
anecdotal. But from what I gathered, primarily the number one answer I got, which was surprising to me because the perception online currently is, and even Christopher Ruocchio's perception that he mentioned at the gala, yelling out to the crowd, talking about it, is that Demon in White is the best book.
Yeah.
I was of that opinion until I got to Disquiet Gods, at which point Disquiet Gods very easily became my
Same.
favorite book.
Yeah. Same.
By far, on the whole, Disquiet Gods was everybody's favorite book. Not everybody, but I would venture to say the vast majority, I would say 85% plus, if
Yeah.
not 90% plus, said Disquiet Gods was their favorite book.
And interestingly enough, I always think the mark of a good author is that you get a bunch of different people saying different books from the author are their favorite, because it
Mhm.
indicates to me that there's something in all of the books that is really high quality. Because if everyone says that one book is the same and the best, then maybe it suggests that just the other ones don't have as much to them, or one stands above the rest. You'll typically see themes, like people will say like, oh, like most people will say this is the best, but then you'll catch some stragglers. And over the course of the trip, there was some Kingdoms of Death people. There
Mhm.
was some Ashes of Man people that
Multiple people said Ashes of Man was their favorite.
not a fluke at all. And so
Mhm.
I
Having read Disquiet Gods too,
right?
right? They
We
had
should
said
say
that.
that our collection of this data precedes anyone getting their hands on Shadows Upon Time, essentially.
That's
So,
true.
yeah, just so folks know, no one at this point had it in their hands apart from the ARC folks. So everyone's essentially reacting to 1 through 6. But it was really cool to talk with the folks that enjoyed Ashes of Man above the rest, because that, I think, gets the biggest criticism, or just like the lowest on the tier list, even though it's a great book, or maybe book one is the lowest on the tier list. Uh, so I actually have seen people say that every book in the series is their favorite now.
Mhm.
Mike's book reviews likes Empire of Silence the most. Lots of folks like Howling Dark the most. Demon in White, obviously. Some Kingdoms of Death folks. Now I know personally a couple Ashes of Man folks, Disquiet Gods folks, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of Shadows Upon Time folks. So I don't know if there's a true total miss in the series now, actually, for the audience. So it just really cool to conduct the poll. It was a good idea to do.
And by all indications too, Shadows Upon Time will be a lot of people's favorite book.
Yeah.
Now, this is an assumption that we're making. Full disclosure, we have both started reading the book. We will make a separate video that will have spoiler-free early on our comments of the book, like our thoughts on the book, a spoiler-free review so that we can get our thoughts out and be part of the moment whenever we're complete. And then we will, in that video, also talk about spoiler full content. So
Yeah.
for those that are following along with the podcast, only listen to, if you're reading for the first time, if you do not want to get spoiled in advance, I'm telling you this even before we make the video, do not listen to that or only listen to spoiler free section,
Yeah.
because we will not be holding back. There's
Yeah.
too much, Drew, that I need to talk about
Yeah. Yes.
already. And
Yeah.
I'm not even done with the book yet.
Right. That's exactly right. So, what happens first thing the next day? We go out. We get breakfast. Have some very good North Carolinian breakfast food.
Southern,
It was
classic
just
Southern food.
just
We
good.
watched a puckering Aggie football game. I'm a fighting Texas Aggie, and we came
Yeah.
back from a 27-point deficit. But we're nerds. We don't care about football. We chill. We knew that the evening was going to be very long for us,
I'm
so
really
so
glad
we
we did because it was a long evening, but it was a good evening.
we relaxed and got prepped and ready. And so by the time the football game was over, you and I were dressed and we walked from the hotel over to the gala. We were the first general people there. Still hadn't. So the only downside, I will say, and it's just because, it's to be expected. The logistics, there were some logistical hiccups, and getting there early wasn't necessarily a benefit, at least for the general admission people.
Yeah.
So they had two different ticket tiers: VIP, where you can go have a special book signing and a cocktail hour, and then the general admission people who got a book and also got to hang out. And then there was like the +1, where if somebody had bought a general admission, you could just go. The moment we got in and we're hanging out, you and I had sat next to Justin Grissom, who we had met the night before, and we were just chilling, hanging out, talking. Justin's hilarious.
It's very funny. Yeah.
He's a very funny guy. We probably talked to him more than anybody else
Yeah.
that night. But just waiting, it was just pure excitement. I mean, the gala hadn't started yet, and we were super, super excited. They had Mike first of all, I think that Ruocchio had an address, right? I think he talked to us, and Jenna had talked about the night, and Jenna, his wife, is hilarious and is the whole reason the gala happened. A wonderful woman.
I will say too, there was some logistical errors at the start. Everyone was super gracious about it, understanding, and they handled the event really well. Ruocchio's wife really just rolled with the punches, problem solved. I'm sure we did not even see the chaos that she was managing because we were just seeing the time she appeared in front of everybody to make announcements and stuff. She was great. I was really impressed with her. What a person. She seems amazing.
And for the first time putting on an event like this, like, it's not like they've done this for every other book. It's just for this book and just this first time. It went surprisingly well in considering that. So it was awesome. Would not change anything about it.
Yeah. And so we're sitting here, we're talking with a buddy, and the VIPs are staring down at us plebeians. By the way, we know for a fact that they were also thinking that because some of those folks have started making YouTube videos talking about staring down at us plebeians.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. So
we were the Planet Bound serfs.
That's
and
right.
They were our Palatine lords.
Talking about these, I think there was maybe it was To Ramble and them on Talking Story or something like that. I'm trying to remember all, but they were looking down at us plebeians. And while we're doing that, members of Ruocchio's family are coming up to greet us.
Yeah.
So his family's there. I think it was
his aunt. We met his mom.
Just wonderful, kind people. Aunt just came up to us, introduced herself, wanted to meet everybody. I think mom said that Ruocchio knew his alphabet by 2 years old, or what did she say?
18 months.
18 months old, and was just. You had asked a question of like, how did you know he was going to be freaky smart or something like that? And he had known his alphabet at a super young age or something. She might be talking him up. Who knows? It's mom. But it was really cool.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. It was interesting. This started to occur to me as that was happening, is that it really felt like a really family reunion-ish vibe the entire time. It was family being there, just excited for like, Ruocchio in our head is the author of The Sun Eater, but it felt like we were at his like high school graduation in some way. It was like his family's there and they're just excited for him. It had to have been very special for family just to see him have this moment. And as we're here, VIPs are up here, and then like a lot more like of the general admission people start to kind of flood in through the manual check-in process. So people start to get it and stuff like that. People are walking around with goodie bags and all that. It starts to fill up and become more of a event at that point.
Piggybacking on what you said about like a family reunion thing, something that I felt was very nice, interesting in some respects, but ultimately very nice looking back on it was, there were portions that were presentation, right? That everybody's enraptured for, but there were also portions that were, I imagine, made for, intended to be those moments, but where people just ended up talking. Like, I think there was a Q&A panel. I didn't hear anything. I'll have to look up on YouTube because it was a bunch of insight, a bunch of booktubers up there. To Ramble is up there, Talking Story was up there. Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, Christopher Ruocchio, like, and some other authors as well. We're talking about it just because everybody was mingling and having fun and talking, couldn't hear anything that they said, which I think is actually a good thing, because that's where people get connected. And the most important parts, everybody was sat down and enraptured.
Well,
right?
and they said as they were starting that panel, guys, don't stop talking. Like, keep hanging out, keep mingling. So it's just, no one was being rude or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
They were just holding the panel. They had some audio issues in that section. I heard that they were struggling a little bit with that. I'm hoping that the audio was recorded and that they can put that somewhere so people can see that discussion. There, you could, if you were paying close attention, you could hear them talking, but most people at that point were mingling amongst everybody. There was a lot of people there. I mean, it felt like 200 plus people just hanging out, eating food, chatting. Lots of stuff started happening, and gradually people started to, filter out into the event. And Ruocchio does a Q&A for a little bit. He's holding
at like two different points throughout the night.
He's holding a Q&A initially. They're putting off the big announcement to the end of the gala.
Mm-hmm.
But he does an initial Q&A. He answers some questions from Mike's book reviews about the series, writing the series, and then takes a bunch of questions from the audience. Some fun question and answer there. And then people, start going around. Everyone starts signing each other's books, like a yearbook. I did not end up doing this in case I end up giving this copy away to somebody, because I'm gonna double up on accident with this thing with all the other editions. But that's a really cool thing. People started signing things like yearbooks while Ruocchio's talking. Everyone's sitting and listening. A group of Cielsen walk in.
Everybody, whoa! four decked out Cielsen walk in the building, and everybody is unbelievable. One of my let's step into the next section to talk about one of our favorite parts of the gala. That was one of my favorite parts, is seeing them. Like, it was incredible how much work they put into this.
And Ruocchio, I think, was talking, and then I think he says something like, "I see that we're getting invaded."
Yeah,
it's just, that was awesome. There was a really good Lorien cosplay.
Shout out to
well.
Dominic.
Yeah,
his name's we got to talk to him for a little bit.
He's a super nice guy. We were talking about fatherhood with Lorien, right? I mean, just crazy stuff. There was several Hadrian Marlowes. There was some Selenas as well. That was really cool. So all the cosplay was really cool. Meeting booktubers was really cool as well. Really impressed with the character of the booktubers at this event. All super gracious, kind, just down to earth folks. It was actually one of my highlights, being able to meet with the Talking Story folks, the 2/3 of the folks that were walking around amongst everybody, and telling them.
One was a Palatine the whole time, but it's fine.
I was, telling them that I really loved their book, and I just, he was so excited to just thank me for reading his book. It was really cool. He gave me a Talking Story sticker. I have yet to put on anything. Just really fun to meet the booktubers there. What else sticks out to you as a favorite highlight?
I'll echo that. Like, everybody was, regardless of, we're a super, super small creator, right?
Yeah.
We're a podcast. We don't fashion ourselves much as YouTube people, but no matter the size of your presence online, like, everybody was super gracious. So that was super, super cool. I got to talk to Dustin from Preacher Reads a lot, and he's great. Also, shout out to Riggs as well from the Book Street Boys Discord. Like,
it was cool to be able to ask questions in the second Q&A. I think it was both of us got to ask questions in the second Q&A. I asked Christopher Ruocchio about how he handles decisions around how much violence to include. He said he never thought he was ever going to go too far. He was worried about not going far enough. So that was an interesting answer. I was not expecting that answer from him, but it's a good point. He made some interesting points about violence being really bad in real life that I thought were great. The questions were great. There was a funny question that was asked by a woman about if there was going to be Sun Eater spicy content later in the series. It's very funny. It was a good question. Other highlights, the final presentation stuff. There was some cool stuff before, future stuff that I thought was really cool. There's some cool special editions coming out. One of my highlights of the entire event was the Atom Man trailer. For those that don't know, Christopher Ruocchio is a big fan of Robert E. Howard and Conan and all these stories. and has his own sort of short fiction pulpy character that I didn't know about called Atom Man. That
And this is
he
relatively new for you. You like just started reading Conan, right?
I needed a carry me over to through the week before the Gala read that wasn't going to start a new book, because I knew as soon as I got to the Gala I was going to start reading Shadows Upon Time, so I didn't want to start something else. And so I was like, well, I bought this collection of Conan stories because of Ruocchio's recommendation. Maybe I'll just read some of that. And I'm like, just digging it. And then he
Mhm.
like talked about Robert E. Howard the whole event and has his own version of it called Atom Man, and that releases like the most metal book trailer I've ever seen ever about it. So that was a highlight for me. Um, yeah, I
I'll
need to read
say,
Atom Man.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna just pick up Adamant, and also then in my in the normal course of events, at least in my experience, I will read Christopher Ruocchio's version first, and then go to the old version, and find that I like the Christopher Ruocchio version better. Probably, in all
Yeah,
likelihood.
yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say one of my favorite parts was toward the end of the night. We actually got to talk to him for a fair bit of time, 5 minutes ish.
Very gracious with his time.
It, you know, I'm impressed. Like, super down to earth guy, very gracious. Made a point to like hang out, and I mean, he skipped his own dinner during the gala because they were backed up on time a little bit, and he needed to sign some extra books. He skipped his portion that he would actually get to eat food, and they had gotten this caterer primarily because they got them for their wedding and didn't get to eat the food during their wedding, and he still didn't get to eat it because he was like, "I'm gonna go do this for the fans." He must have been exhausted, but I couldn't tell. Like, he's super gracious, incredibly gracious.
The interacting with him was amazing. He was paying attention so much to every
Mm-hmm.
word that people were saying to him, engaging,
Thoughtful person.
thoughtfully engaging. The highlight for me in terms of Ruocchio's character for the night was him thanking everybody in the gala for allowing him to do what he does, and for him to be able to have both him and his wife at home with their two children. And obviously
Nary a
he's
dry eye in the house when he
yeah,
said that.
he's and he gets a standing ovation at this point, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm recalling well. And as he's walking off, so many people start shouting "half mortal" and stuff. It's just
Yeah.
it was insane. I mean, it's like one of the craziest events I've ever been at, just in terms of what it was like. Anything else to mention in terms of favorites before we mention about future stuff? Because I want to talk a little bit about the project he announced at the end.
Honestly, talking to people, period, was
Yeah,
probably my favorite part. Like, I mean,
yeah.
and not just the author or not just creators, like talking to normal people about the series, about life, about what they think.
The diversity of life experience and
Yeah.
occupation. I mean, it was just really cool. You know,
I
like
will say there was one woman in the line for the bar with me that was like beginning Demon in White. And I was like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here, dude?
just or playing fast
Insane.
and loose with spoiler risk. Yeah, that's pretty unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the announcement happens near the end of this. So he gives this big presentation. For those that are curious about the presentation, he just did the same presentation on his YouTube channel on the release day, so you can still go watch it. He first does the Adam Man trailer, just talks about, you know, what is the future like. There's going to be more Sun Eater stuff in the future, although it will not
Mm-hmm.
be focused on Hadrian Marlowe per what he said at the event, what he said before. He's got a lot of short story content. He's got a short story that is about Hadrian, I believe, post Shadows Upon Time coming out sometime next year. So there'll be like sort of something going on there. I have no idea what that will be. I'm looking forward to reading it. And future stuff related to the universe. He's built this gigantic, the scale of which is hard to grapple with, honestly, universe that he will have future science fiction stuff take place in, whether that's short
Yeah.
stories or novels.
And he mentioned that he doesn't have any ideas about that now, but we've already
Yeah.
seen it, right? With Tales of the Sun Eater, the novellas, the different points of view.
Yep.
Like, he wants to tell other stories. And he said, I've already laid the groundwork, which is the hardest part. So unless I really have a really strong idea about a different universe that I want to explore, like, I'm going to do it in the Sun Eater universe. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense when I've put all this time and effort into it. If I can fit it into the mold of things I've already created, I probably will.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. We've already talked about Adaman, his sort of sword and sorcery. Wizards are bad. Big guy with big sword slays wizards. He's got I think five short stories out in various places. Galaxy Magazine, on his website. If you're ever wondering where to access those, you can go to his Patreon. You don't have to be a patron. You can just purchase the ones that are behind a paywall. You can just purchase those individual short stories. But I'm pretty sure that there's a few that are out there to give you a taste of what that's like for free and to see if you're interested.
The Barrow King, I believe, is free. I'm going to read it once I'm done with
Galaxy
Shadows.
Magazine.
He said that this has got me excited because I'm like a masochist or something. He said that The Wages of Sin is like the darkest thing he's ever written, and it's an Adam Man story, which is crazy. Crazy
when he wrote a short story from the point of view of a C. Elson.
Well, and some of the content in this series, folks, is really dark. So if that's dark, I can't even. I'm looking forward to reading that. So that's something I'm excited for.
Yeah, I saw your ears perk up when he said that.
So, I need to read that one. But then, he gives this whole spiel about Adaman and says, I am writing a fantasy thing, but it is not going to be Adaman because
he pulled a fast one because everybody was speculating it was going to be Adaman. And he does plan on turning Adaman into that world into a sort of epic sword and sorcery series, but not immediately. I think he said that it's going to take 10 books to tell the story he wants to say for Adaman. So there's his like Malazan wheel time
will be
thing
Adaman.
is going to be Adaman.
I can't wait.
But he has sold a trilogy.
Yes.
That is a fantasy trilogy.
Yeah.
That he was the last trailer of the night, which he said is not Adaman, but rather a fantasy world with two point of view characters, one sister and one brother, I think, called the Doomsong Saga. And we heard it. I'm sure the trailer's already out on his YouTube channel. So recommend everybody go watch it. Carlos Ferro, I think his name is, who voiced characters in Gears of War and Assassin's Creed and is a prolific video game voice actor, did the voiceover for that. And it's hype.
Yeah.
It's hype.
I think it's called the God-Stained House or something like that. It's something. Regardless, the Doomsong Saga sounds interesting. It sounds like it's going to be very inspired by Greekish kind of stuff. I mean, like going back to his roots in like classics, Homer-esque legend and myth and all this stuff, combined with sort of this stuff that he's really into. He's really into the space opera stuff, but he's also really into like all the inspirations for the stuff that ends up in this. So this sounds like it's going to be not fantasy in the way that most people are writing fantasy these days. It's going to be more Tolkien-esque is kind of the vibe that he's been describing, although I'm sure with his own flair. Listening to him talk about the differences between Adaman and this, apparently Adaman is very Robert E. Howard, while this is going to be more Tolkienish. So this is going to feel more like a classic fantasy.
Separate world, nothing connected to our universe.
Not the same.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting. He's, it sounds like it's going to be inspired and taken from some legends and myth that exist, but very much not going to be a retelling of anything in the way that like a Circe or a Song of Achilles would be. It's not a retelling at all. It's going to just take inspiration from things in the same way that the Sun Eater series has, and then just grow and do its own thing. It will be interesting to see differences in this. It's not first person, I believe it's third person, and there's two POVs, and they're going to be shorter books. So it's going to be a very different feel.
Trilogy.
And Ruocchio is very capable of this. So people that will be familiar with the Sun Eater series, they're longer books. So most of their experience is going to be with longer Ruocchio stuff. But he writes good stuff that's more novel novella length. Yeah, I've read Queen of Mid Ashes, this stuff, it's good. He's read good short fiction as well. So he's got this switch. And when it's going to be the main kind of thing he's doing with a trilogy, I think people will begin to appreciate his shorter stuff. He doesn't have to write as many words to do something really powerful. So frankly, I am super agnostic about Doomsong. I'm excited to feel what it's like, but I have no idea what it's going to feel like reading a novel from Ruocchio that style. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
different it's going to be. So I'm excited for it. I am looking forward to being able to experience it. But it's almost like if he told me is like there was a color in the color spectrum that I hadn't experienced before. He's like, get hyped. I've got this new color. It's like, I don't know how I get excited for it because I don't know what that experience is going to be like. So I'm very much looking forward to it. It would also be cool to be able to read a Ruocchio book in not 6 weeks because it's so long. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
exciting. Be cool.
He made it a point, not just it will be shorter. Like he made it a point to talk about like I am not going to write like unless something happens and I really have to. I'm not going to write a series this long ever again. Like he's done with that chapter of his life. And granted, he's thought about Sun Eater since he was 8 years old by his own admission, and it's evolved and transformed or whatever. The first book came out, he wrote it the first book he wrote was like when he was 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
So this is a long journey for him, and it seems he's closing the chapter on the prose being so long and the series being so long. So even if Adaman becomes his next like super epic 10-book series fantasy, I imagine the books will be shorter. It goes to the framing of the story too, because part of Sun Eater that I think makes it super long is it's being told from Hadrian's perspective, and Hadrian is long-winded and melodramatic, and like he has these philosophical asides and he has these things, right? I think that extends, not only is the story epic in scale, but the fact that it's told from Hadrian's perspective also makes that longer than other books that are like it. And so seeing it being two POVs from third person, I think just by nature of the framing of the narrative, it will be a shorter.
Yeah. I'm also I'm excited for Doomsong, but the thing that I think I'm left with here after processing the whole event is I think most excited to see what the legacy of the Sun Eater series becomes, because it really feels like we've gotten in early on something really quite special. I mean, it would be shocking to me if this thing does not grow into something massive in the future. It's unbelievable.
By this weekend, it's already something bigger than we thought it was, right? I mean, when you and I started this podcast, we didn't know anybody was making content about it really, other than, various booktubers talking about it. There's a lot of people that are making content about it, that are talking about it, that and a lot of people that aren't, that just enjoyed it enough to fly across the country or drive and spend $200 to go talk about and listen to this book and get this book 3 days early. So if that shows anything, if that's the biggest it's getting now, it's going to get bigger. And this is before it transcends any other medium too.
Yeah.
So you're right. We got in at a perfect time. And another thing I was surprised about is a lot of people that we talked to started reading the series like this summer and are already
like 5 months
through
ago.
Disquiet Gods 5 months ago. Like they're reading one of these books like every month for the last 6 months or whatever, or even quicker.
Yeah.
So if that's any indication, and like I can't remember anything that's happened around that time period related to this series. But I think you're right. I don't think it's gotten close to hitting its peak.
No.
By all accounts, everybody that has talked about it at this point says that he lands. I've not heard one negative review of anybody who's read the book.
Can you imagine what's going to happen when the star collapse, if you will, grant me the ridiculousness, that will occur on BookTube once the reviews start dropping from the big booktubers about the fact that not only is the series done, but he killed it at the end. I mean, people are motivated to get out and read A Song of Ice and Fire because people speak about its accolades, but there's always an asterisk by it because it's not done. This is one of the things, is like, this is an epic science fiction series that is finished, and the books are good too. When you try to sell someone on the Wheel of Time, you sell them the fact that it's really cool. It's 14 books, and in the middle it gets terrible for a while. There's not really, that doesn't really happen in this series.
There's not a bad book.
There's not. And so to have something come out be this epic, this wide in scope, and for it to stick the landing, according to those that have finished the book, and by all indication, my experience thus far is I would be unbelievably amazed if it doesn't land. I can't imagine what that looks like in a couple of years for how people talk about this series, because, there's always the question mark before a series is done. Is it gonna work out? Is it gonna land? We're all traumatized from other things that aren't finished or they don't end in a satisfying way. This one just works the whole way through, according to folks. So that's, I think, what I'm looking forward to most is what happens when it sticks the landing, and how do people talk about it after the fact? Because we're not there yet. People have talked about this gala, but most people haven't talked about the book because they haven't had time to read it yet.
Well, it's 900 pages.
It's 900 pages.
I think that's a good place to leave it, other than giving some shout outs here at the end. Number one shout out that would have altered our entire trip. Again, Sherilyn from Books, Beverages, and Besties, and her partner in crime on the channel, Tabitha, too, is very polite and very nice. Justin Grissom is hilarious. Shout out to Justin.
Yeah.
He's awesome and one of the funniest people we met there. We met Tom Warren. She's really nice and cool to talk to, along with Chance Dillon. Super cool. Dustin from Preacher Reads. Riggs from the Book Street Boys Discord. Briefly talked to the guys To Ramble. They're fantastic. Both Austin and Richard. The Talking Story family was fantastic. Jacob and John. And then number one shout out of the whole thing was, I would say, other than Christopher Ruocchio, of course, and his wife Jenna, who put on such an amazing event, would be you. So thanks for going on the trip with me. It was awesome. My wife's still making me feel guilty for going. So it was a great trip, and I would do it again and again and again.
Oh, so. Totally. Thank you too, man. We'll bear that yoke together of the having gone, but it was a wonderful trip. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so grateful that we went. I mean, it was like one of the coolest things I've ever done. So yeah, well, it's a good time. I'm looking forward to the future of the community as well. People are very excited about it.
And we'll leave you with this, our readers, as we trek on towards the end of Sun Eater. We are moving always forward
and always down.
And we will see you in a regular episode in the not too distant future. Bye-bye.
See you, folks.